Hey, Joel here again, your friendly neighborhood psychologist. Today we want to talk about daddy issues, right? Or at least that's what's commonly known, daddy issues. From a clinical psychologist perspective, on the other hand, we don't call them daddy issues, we call them attachment issues. Meaning to say that, we had some kind of dysfunctional way of attaching to our parental figures growing up, right? Sounds fancy, but not really, right? You know how perfect image of a family is mommy is there, daddy is there, the kids are playing around them, the kids fall down, mommy and daddy picks them up, that kind of thing, right? And the reason why that's an idealized image of a family is because it depicts a situation where the kids' needs are being met, right? So when something goes wrong or when something happens to them, they're able to reach out for help, and that reaching out for help is reciprocated by the parents. Only the parents will then come in and help them fix their boo boo or give them a band aid. So that's an ideal situation. So that's when someone has healthy attachment styles, right? But when in the absence of that, so let's say the parents are not around, let's say the mom and dad are working parents, and when something occurs, that the kids calling out for help, calling out for assistance may not be reciprocated, and that's when you get those daddy and mommy issues, right? Stereotypically we see that a lot in movies, isn't it? Right, where let's say the female character has daddy issues, so he keeps going after or dating older men to try and reenact or try to have that lost older father figure kind of relationship, which is kind of weird if you think about it. It's sort of kind of like dating your dad, which is odd. Same goes the other way around as well. Again, I'm talking about very stereotypically mother father gender roles. Yeah, mommy issue, same thing as well. You see a lot of male movie characters being depicted as people who like being mommy, being taken care of, and that's what you would then say in popular culture, mommy issues. So if you collapse those two together, mommy issues, daddy issues, basically what we're talking about here is that these people have some unmet needs, basically in their lives, from stemming from their parents. And because they didn't have it as kids, they start trying to act out, or trying to get it, like gain it or earn it, in their adult lives. Now, how does this look like in real life? A lot of times, people with this kind of attachment style issues, they exhibit a lot of odd relationship styles or patterns or desires, right? So a healthy relationship, when two people get together, not romantically, it doesn't have to be romantically. It can be also platonic as well, like friends and things like that. A healthy relationship will look like two people get together, and whenever there's something going on, they speak to one another, they do stuff together and things like that. And when they're apart lah, that's it lah. There's no harm, no foul. Everyone has their own lives. That's healthy, right? So it's very trusting, very warm, very embracing kind of relationship. So you guys spend time away, and I'm sure some of you guys would have relationships like that, right? You guys don't see each other for like 6 months, but then when you get together again, it's like you guys never were apart. You just picked up again like you just met each other yesterday, that kind of thing, right? That's healthy. Someone with the quote unquote mommy and daddy issues, how those relationships look like would sometimes be a bit clingy. So that means like you would constantly badger this person that you are attached to. You might call them all the time, want to meet up all the time, just be around them all the time, even though nothing really is going on. And it's not born out of a sense of comfort or security, but more a sense of anxiety and fear, because I'm afraid that they'll leave me. I'm afraid that they might abandon me. Some other manifestations could also be that these people would like to hold on or hang on to their relationship, so they are usually very giving, very submissive, and anything their partner wants, anything the people around them wants, they're very happy to submit to them, right? You also see sometimes in extreme cases, that's where you see the onset of abusive relationships happening as well, right? So you have one abusive partner, right, and the submissive one, the one with the quote unquote mommy and daddy issues, would submit to the abuse because that's what they think they deserve sometimes, because maybe that's how they grew up. Their parents' only signs of attention was when they were berating them, scolding them, punishing them, and things like that, right? So that could be also another way that they manifest those symptoms of mommy and daddy issues. In romantic relationships, I think you see this quite often as well. You see one partner who is more dominant in the relationship, and because that's the other partner encourages that, basically, right? When you talk about daddy issues, the whole stereotypical image of a father is someone who's dominant, who's strong, who's powerful, who's in command, right? So someone with daddy issues, you typically see that they are very submissive to these kind of strong figures, like male or female, doesn't matter, as long as there's someone who can take care of me, like, in a powerful kind of way, right? Again, vice versa as well with mommy issues, same thing. You do sometimes, like I said earlier on, you see some guys who quite enjoy being with females, for example, again, stereotypically speaking, of course. Uh, partners who would baby them, who would take care of them, who would comb their hair, who would pack lunches for them, that kind of thing, right? So much to a point where in extreme cases, some people might even say, dude, is that your mom or your girlfriend? And these are just, romantic and social relationships. This can also pan out in the workplace as well, right? So you imagine if you had, quote unquote, again, daddy issues, and you had a boss who was very commanding and demanding and abusive and things like that. Someone, again, understandably with daddy issues, would be very submissive to someone like that and just suck it all in, right? So these are the people who will be, working at like midnight, for example, working on weekends, be at their bosses every whim and fancy, anything the bosses wants, they get them coffee, do their cleaning and things like that. They're all happy to do all that kind of things, right? Because that's how they feel they deserve love. And I think that's a nice segue into to the reasons why. Every child grows up very helpless, right? As babies, as young children, that's just how humans evolve, right? You compare us to, let's say, a tiger or a deer, for example. Deers, the instant they get born, within seconds, within minutes, they can stand up and walk and run because that's needed for their survival, right? Dolphins, when they get born, they float around the sea for a little bit and they learn how to swim after that really quickly. As new infants, newborns, the only thing we really are talented is crying. If you think about it, right? We really don't have a lot of defense mechanisms or evolutions to take care of ourselves. I was telling my wife once when we first had our first child, right? I honestly think a human baby's defense mechanism is to look cute, lah. And because of that helplessness, lah, right? I think there is this strong reliance on our parents, our parental figures, family members, in order to take care of us, right? And in a way, that's the whole point of having parents around. Basically, that's the role that they play, like, to take care of the needs or meet the needs of these kids, in that sense, right? So a kid who is in distress, for example, who needs reassurance, who needs help for it and things like that, they will reach out, they'll cry. So the expectation here is that if I cry, I'm in distress, the parents will come and save me, take care of me. Like, that's the normal expectation. So whenever these kids are in distress and they cry and the parents don't come because of whatever reason, right? That's when that mommy and daddy issues start forming. Not as young as 2 month old. Once you have formal conscious thought, that's when it starts happening, right? Child cries out in distress, parents don't come, and then the child starts learning this idea or starts thinking to themselves, right? Why is it that my parents aren't coming? Is it because I'm not cared for? Is it because they don't care? Is it because they're too busy for me? I'm not as important to them as work or friends or anything like that, right? And it's all these big ticket questions, these big ticket items that make us feel very antsy, make us feel very nervous and anxious and things like that, right? Now, as human beings, it's very common, very normal for us to not like things like makes us feel pain or hurt or distress or things like that. It's just normal human reaction like that. So because we don't like being rejected by our parents, then the natural compensation is that we do more to get their attention, right? On the positive end, we look super adorable, we become really good kids, good boys, good girls, we do everything our parents want and things like that, with the hope that the better I am, the gooder I am, then the parents will love me. Some other kids will think that, oh, only when I act out, only when I'm naughty, only when I break things or stuff like that, then my parents will pay attention to me. So it reinforces that behavior and I do more of that. But that's one of the reasons why mommy's daddy issues occur, like, in that sense, right? Because that healthy relationship with the parents isn't formed, isn't solidified, and the kids are left to their own devices to figure out how to survive. Yeah. So when you look at it from that perspective, like, when they grow up, everything that someone with mommy and daddy issues go through or experience or encounter or exhibits really is just their way of trying to survive and cope, right? If I grew up in a childhood or a family where my needs, my requests, my pains were not addressed, right? When I grow up, I'm going to look for that because I never had it. I want it, right? It only makes sense for me to do so. But unfortunately, when you have someone like that and someone who's not like that, and you put them together, it's oftentimes like water and oil, right? Which is why a lot of relationships are quite problematic in that. So it's very easy for someone like this in a situation like this to blame their parents, say, oh, it's my mom's fault, it's my dad's fault. They're never around and things like that. And I get it. I mean, literally, that's the whole reason why this has happened, right? But at the same time, I think we also need to recognize and remember that our parents are humans. They go through their own shit. They go through their own struggles and things like that. And I mean, if everyone was well adjusted, then we wouldn't have depression and anxiety and mommy issues and daddy issues, right? And the world doesn't exist like that. The world isn't perfect like that. Why do parents do it? I have no idea. I just know that they do, right? And the onus and responsibility to recognize that we are having mommy and daddy issues and how to overcome it really is our own in that sense. I think it's our responsibility to do to do what we can, right? Is it ideal? Is it better that our parents were more available? Yes, but things happen. You can't change it. It is what it is, right? And right now, if we have those kind of mommy daddy issues, it's our responsibility to change, right? Now, how do you change, right? First, I think is to recognize what is it that you're looking for, what is it that you want in your life. Are you looking for someone to take care of you? Are you longing for companionship? Are you looking for someone you can express your darker secrets and worries and anxieties without being ridiculed or laughed at and things like that? Try and identify what is it that you are looking for in a partner, in a friendship. Because I think the more aware you are about what you're doing, the better it is, the more clarity you have about how you do it. If you know for a fact that you're looking for a partner just because I don't want to be alone, then intuitively you also recognize that, hey, that's not the best reason to get into a relationship with someone. You probably want to have friends, you want to have acquaintances and things like that. Because if your romantic partner is your whole reason to not be alone or not be lonely, it's very suffocating if you think about it, right? That means anytime your partner isn't around, that means you feel alone, you feel abandoned, and things like that, which is so maybe then having more friends, more variety of friends could be helpful for you. If the whole reason why looking for a relationship is because you don't want to feel abandoned, right? You want to feel that someone can take care of you. It's more about that kind of perspective. This is a need that you want to make clear to your friends and family members, right? To make sure that they realize that, hey, I want this from you. Can you give this to me, right? So at least it's something that is said out loud, meaning to say that you're aware, they're aware, and to see whether it's a willing buyer, willing seller kind of situation, right? Some people will be very happy to meet their need for you. Some people cannot because of their own issues, their own struggles, and things like that. I think the final thing that you can do is to not only be aware about it, but to address it head on. Not everything bad is bad, if that makes any sense. Not everything good is good as well, right? You finding a partner that meets all your needs, no questions asked, will also mean that if you don't have them, you completely shut down and fail after that, right? So that's something to think about as well. You be aware about what you're looking for and see whether you can come up with different ways to compensate for different partners, different relationships, or be comfortable with it. Now, in some extreme cases, these mommy daddy issues can also result in you sabotaging your own relationships and things like that, right? Making it so that it's very hard for you to maintain any significant relationship. And if you're that way inclined, then therapy might be important because that's the only way you're going to be able to recover from that, basically. Take care out there, guys. Have fun.